Howdy folks, TJ here from Hyper Coliseum, and welcome back to another Members First deck profile. So this week, I'm going to be bringing you guys WarGreymon, just standard Wargrey tribal, nothing crazy, nothing cheeky. We did get some new pieces, namely really just one new piece, but it's a pretty powerful piece in the brand new MetalGreymon Alterous Mode. This card is phenomenal, such a cool card, and I'm really excited that we have a new Alterous in the card game, along with a new Sagittarius as well for Melga. Before we jump into it though, just want to say thank you to our members for supporting the channel. We appreciate you all so much. And to anyone seeing this video when it goes public, consider sticking around if you're not already subscribed here, and don't forget to hit the video with a like if you enjoy this content. So go ahead and jump right in. So kicking things off, we run 4 copies of the BT14 Koromon. Not much to say, just best Koro. You know, it's really good, solid piece. We love it. We like draw. It's a solid card. Jumping out from there, we have the brand new, or not brand, am I saying brand? Hello? I wish we'd have a brand new one. We have the old BT9 Agumon X with the, on play on Evo, top 3, grab X anybody, grab Greymon or Omnimon a name, place rest on bottom, really good, just extra cycle, extra pieces. Jumping from there, we have BT14 Agu. Start of your main phase, if you have a Tamer with Taikamiya in its name, this Digimon may digivolve into a Greymon in your hand without paying the cost. Really good sort of turn 1 play, turn 1 avenue of evoing him in the back and then just dropping a tie to pass turn. It's effectively like doing a training almost, right? Where you'll push up and you'll be able to evo for free. The reason we run only 3 Agu X is because we're running 4 of this guy, where we kind of just want to climb our line fast. We do still want to see like a Greymon into a Greymon X play typically, but if we don't see it, that's okay. That's fine. Jumping on from there. We have 4 copies of the BT12 Agumon, still just the best searcher for Greymon decks, right? With top 4 cards, add a card with Greymon or Omnimon a name, and a Tamer card with Taikamiya. Just, double hits really good, and +1k all turns is really solid. So we like that as well. That's it for 3s. Jumping onto 4s, we run 3 copies of Greymon X Anybody. I know some of the stuff in this list looks a little bit weird, and there's some cards that aren't in this list that you might think be like, oh hey, this would actually be really good for a WarGreymon deck. I'll explain to you what the reasoning is, and there are some other tech choices you can use in the list. This is the list I have been sort of fiddling with and whatnot so far, and it's not super tested just yet, but it's been pretty fun from what I have messed around with, and I'd recommend people to try it out, and it's at least it starts as like maybe a building point for people. But Greymon X is just your protection, right? You shed 2 of the same level sources from your, or 2 of the same level from your sources whenever you would be deleted or bottom decked, or bounce to hand or deck rather, I should say. So good card there. We run 4 copies of EX-9 Greymon, and there's a reason for that. It's the same reason why people are doing the same thing with EX-9 Garurumon in Melga. And that is because of Alterous, which we'll get there, but he has the cool inheritable of 1 attacking once per turn. You can play 1 Taikamiya with a play cost of 3 or less from your hand without paying the cost. So that hits our BT14 ties and our BT12 ties, which is really good. And the reason we want to be able to play those ties for free is, well, namely, this tie lets you on play get, +1k in blocker, which is really good. But this tie will also just gain you memory, after the swing kind of is going through, right? But the big thing is with the Alterous Mode, which I'll get to in a moment, but let's finish off the 4s here. We run our 1 copy of our restricted Greymon X Anybody. Realistically, his protection, while it's still good, it's not like the main reason we want him. We just have him there for the occasional cost reduction more than anything else, because that's still just really strong. I do think with where the game's speed has gone, this guy could honestly come off the restriction list, and I don't think it would make that much of a difference for Greymon. Or for Wargrey. It might be really good for things like Gaio and Black Wargrey, like moving forward, but even then, like they're all like stack decks that have like sometimes limited means of play, or it's red, so it can be a fairly inconsistent color. So like the only like red deck that is super consistent is like Megi or in Gallant nowadays sometimes, which even though, like when red breaks, it's rough. It feels rough. But yeah, no, so he's just there mostly for the cost reduction. Still a good card, but I do wish he'd come off the ban list, because I do think that Wargrey could use him. It'd be nice. Not like he doesn't net you any extra draw like Guru X does. He's just the cost reduction. Moving on from there, rounding out our 4s, run 2 copies of the BT12 Greymon. He's just nice for, like, if you're going second, and you go like BT14 Agu in the back, and you can hard drop this Agu and keep turn, you can go into him and drop the tie and just set up your BT14 Agu for next turn, right? Like, you know, if you have another Greymon in hand. So just a solid piece there. Plus 1k all turns is nice. Admittedly, he does kind of become a dead card pretty quick with how many Tamers we're running. And I thought about running the security tech plus WarGreymon, which is still not a bad choice, but I think that the occasional times that you just get the free Tamer play off of him can just be really, really helpful. So that's the idea there. Jumping on from there, moving on to our level 5s. So we were on 7 level 5s total. We're on 11. I think I'm on 10 here, right? Yeah, I'm on 10. Okay, my brain forgot for a moment. We're on 11, 10, 7 for our ratios here for 3 through 5s. We have the brand new MetalGreymon Alterous Mode. This card is so... I love him. I love him. His alt art's sick. Shout out to Chica Morishita for that sick art, dude. So on play on Evo, you delete something with 8,000 DP or less. Really good. We like it. Your turn, when any of your Digimon or Tamers with Garurumon or Taikamiya and their names are played, or any of your Digimon digivolve into a Digimon card with Garurumon in its name, this Digimon may digivolve into a Digimon card with Greymon in its name in the hand without paying the cost. So he essentially acts like a free Warp Evo, and so you can probably see the idea now where what you want to do is when you are Evo, after you digivolve into this guy, and you'll pop something 8k or less, which is really nice. You can then go ahead and swing with this Greymon Inherit, play out one of your 3 cost or lower ties, which will then activate your turn effect on Alterous Mode to go ahead and instantly Evo into one of your WarGreymon, and you know, do your whole thing, which is just, it's good. It's just it's a solid means of doing things. You know, like just being able to Evo for free into a card with Greymon in name, and then, you know, this card can be used in a lot of different decks, right? I already have multiple builds for Gaiomon come BT22. I've had some builds that I made now that I've messed around with a little bit, but they just don't feel too great yet. The new Gaiomon rare card is actually kind of cracked in combination with Yuko. And then you also have Black Wargray, which can utilize this guy pretty well additionally. So, you know, there's a lot of different plays and a lot of different top end you can use. I think there's a world where Wargray Toolbox could be a relevant thing again. It just depends on how the meta shapes up. Because at the moment, you know, a lot of talk about, you know, hopefully there being a ban list that like touches Megi or Sakuya in some way, because or I should say, because they are just sort of running rampant in the meta, you know. Bandai even released like their official results things, like shows like most played decks and decks with the most tops and top 16s, and those two were the largest of the pies. So hopefully there's something coming there just to kind of like try and balance out the field a little bit, because I think aside from those two decks, even like not even including Royal Knights in there, I think a lot of the meta is pretty like well evened out and balanced. There's a lot of like decks that just have good matchups into certain decks and vice versa. But yeah, so really, really solid card, really cool piece, and then also has the inheritable of just your turn plus 4k DP. Being able to instantly just be a 16k base, and that's not including like your plus 2k from this guy potentially, or plus 1k, plus 1k from here, plus 1ks from this Taikamiya. Like you can, or even plus 2k starting your main phase from here. Like you can easily climb into a really, really big body, and that's not including your DP boost off of some of your WarGreymon as well. So just really cool, really fun card, and I love having it in the game. Also keep in mind too, he evos over any level 4 Greymon in name for a cost of 3. Or with Adventure Trait. So he's not going to be paying that 4 Evo cost. Or you can go over MetalGreymon for 1. We don't run Metal Grey X because Metal Grey X cannot go over him. Metal Grey X can only go specifically over MetalGreymon. And he's not like the old promo Alterous Mode that says it's treated as MetalGreymon. So unfortunately cannot utilize Metal Grey X super efficiently in this version of the deck. That's also why we don't run as much X Anybody stuff either. At least like for the option and like Cool Boys. But yeah, so that's it there. Jumping on to our last level 5, just BT12 Metal Grey. You know, raid's really good. You know, being able to spit out a Tamer that's play cost 4 or less, black or red, when attack target switch is just nice. And giving piercing is the main reason we're running it. Ideally, we're always going to want to go into this guy, but he can go for 1 over him. So depending on where the memory's at, you know, it might not hurt to go into the, you know, BT12 Metal Grey, get the piercing inherit, and then go into Alterous Mode. You don't need to worry about that, of course, if you're going into this Wargray as your plan, but, you know, just something to kind of keep in mind. Just, you know, it's nice to have that extra little chunk of piercing. Jumping on from there, moving on to our 6s. So we kind of run a bit of a toolbox top end. So I'll go over some of my thoughts on this and why I'm at where I'm at. And I'm just sort of testing some of this stuff still to see what feels best. But first things first, we have BT14 Wargray, the secret, who can Evo over an Agumon if your opponent has a Digimon with 10,000 DP or more, and you have a Tamer with Taikamiya in his name, which, you know, extra being able to warp is nice. So on Evo you gain raid, and then you can attack, and then when attacking, if you have a Tamer, you gain Sec +1 and piercing for the turn. So you typically won't be too big, like too large of a body if you use the warp effect, but even then, it's still like nice just to have that sort of sudden out. And the reason we don't run any of like the new starter deck Agu, who's really good card by the way, is just because the EX-1 Greymon can only go over red level 3s. He doesn't have like the black text box that lets him go over any Agumon in name, for example, right? Same thing with Greymon X. It was from before a time where they really started kind of doing that stuff. So that kind of shuts off some of our low-end options that we can use for this deck, like if we wanted to kind of, you know, utilize this sort of EX1 Alterous combo. So that's him there, just a nice piece. Still really good to go into even as your top end. You know, going into him for 4 and then getting Sec +1 and piercing is really good. Having raid is really nice as well. You know, typically you won't, you know, always be using the raid, but it's good to have it. So that's it there. Sorry, to better clarify that as well, the reason you won't be using the raid is because usually you'll be swinging with Alterous and Digivolving mid-swing, so you'll miss out on the raid timing off of him, as well as BT12 WarGreymon. So raid won't always be accessible there. That's only really if you're hard evoing into them without swinging into Alterous, which you can do that. That is a play you can do. And I'll go over some of the like little fun things you can do after I kind of finish going through the rest of the profile. So that's it for him. Moving on from there, we're on 2 copies of the promo WarGreymon. He's still a really good card. I mean, he goes over a MetalGreymon in name for cost of 3, which is good. Sec +1 and blocker, just inherently solid. And then on Evo, you just delete something with as much or less DP as him, which you have plenty of means of climbing DP, right? I mean, you're going to be 14k alone off of this, not including any other plus 1ks or 2ks you get from other sources. And then additionally, you'll get his plus 1k for each color Digimon and Tamers have. And keep in mind, Promo Wargrey's effect is not just your Digimon and Tamers. It is all Digimon and Tamers on the board, right? So if you're playing against a deck like Hunters or Cross or something like that, you know, decks that typically have a lot of colors in them, you just get boosted even further, right? So it's pretty easy to hit that like 18, 19k threshold just from inherits on top of being him when you go in him, which will pop just about, you know, majority of things in the game right now. Unless you have like some crazy like Magnamon, you know, Magna X play or something, or like a big Tyrant, something like that. Which even then typically they'll be immune, so it doesn't matter. So that's it for him. Just, you know, nice big body to pop something, give access to blocker if you don't, you know, if you're needing it, and it's just a cool card. He's a sick guy. Jumping on to the next one, we run 2 copies of the BT12 Wargrey. Still a really good card, has raid inherently, which is nice. Evo's over a MetalGreymon in name for a cost of 3. On Evo, until your opponent's turn ends, until the end of your opponent's turn, you get plus 3 KDP and reboot, which is really solid for when you're making those aggressive plays with Alterous, where you swing, go into this guy, get plus 3 KDP and have reboot, so that way you'll restand on turns when, you know, turn goes over to your opponent. And then all turns, you know, when attack target is switched, you unsuspend this Digimon so we can act like a double blocker. You'll have the protection inherit as well from the Greymon X's, which can help you, you know, stay on the board in case things would make you leave by effect. But typically you'll be bigger DP wise than majority of things. After the plus 3k and then, you know, DP boost from this tie and you know, plus 1k boost as well, you can be pretty big. So that's a really nice thing to have there. And then rounding out our level 6 lineup, we run 1 copy of the Wargrey Ace. So he only goes over Adventure Trait or Hero Trait for a cost of 3, keep in mind. So he is a 4 cost Evo regularly if you hard Evo into him. But it's just nice to sort of have that surprise Ace play. The protection is actually not the hardest thing to get access to because we do run 9 Tamers. And we have, you know, 5 red, 4 black. So there's a fair chance we can have that 2 color requirement to get the protection. And then in addition, just to having a 1 Digivolving and 1 attacking effect that pops lowest DP Digimon that's not a once per turn could just be really good for board control. But more than anything, he's just there for a sort of a surprise ace factor where, you know, people don't typically think about Wargrey having aces anymore. And, you know, while people can be mindful that this Wargrey Ace exists, they may not consider it in a Wargrey tribal deck, or they just, you know, might not consider it in general if they're not super, like, if they're not playing against Adventure very often or something like that, you know. It could just catch you off guard playing into Wargrey, and then, you know, you're not expecting an ace like that. So, it's nice little surprise factor and can do some decent board control. And then rounding out our Digimon list, we have 1 copy of the, you know, big bad man himself, Omnimon X from BT20. with Raid Piercing Blocker. You know, fantastic card. I'm not going to go over him too much. Everyone's seen this guy at this point. You can get access to his full effect thanks to having BT9X anybody in your sources. And then, of course, the end of turn to give something rush and attack without suspending is just wrong. So that's the Digimon lineup. All really good cards. Really, really fun. This list has been really cool so far. Jumping on to the Tamers now. We have 3 of the old BT1 tie, who just is a memory setter. And then if you have a red Digimon with 4 more sources, you gain Sec +1. Fun fact, keep in mind, because not everyone's necessarily used to this, because, we, you know, for the longest time, all of our Omnimons have always just been white. Omni X is still red, so he still gets the Sec +1 boost from tie. Along with any other, you know, Sec +1 boosts you might pick up, like, you know, from him giving it to you for the turn, for example. This one you'll lose out on because this is just an inherent effect of the card, but you kind of get the idea there. So you can get the extra Sec +1s off of that and do a lot of damage really quickly. We run 2 copies of the BT14 Taikamiya. This is something I'm testing out. I'm not sold on it yet. The main reason I'm testing it out is because I don't own any of the ST1 or ST5 ties, and I'll go over why I want those cards. But he can still be decent in the sense of, you know, plus 2k for starter main is really nice. It would have been really good if he was a starter main and non-play for that. But you know, it's still fine to give you plus 2k start of the turn. Just it can help. And then on your turn, when a card is moved from your opponent's security stack, you can suspend the Tamer to gain a memory. It actually would have been really good all turns as well. So it feels like they really restricted this guy for not any real crazy reason, but just to do it. Maybe just future proofing for future Wargrey support in general. But he's a decent card. You know, you can play him off of the Greymon Inherit to let you evo into your Wargrey for free thanks to Alterous. And then you'll gain memory back when you check security. So it can help, you know, actually plus you on memory by going into your level 6, which can be good. Can be cool. Really, really nice little thing to have. So that's all. That's sort of like the reason we have him in there. And I'll go over the ST ties in a minute as soon as I finish going over the list. And then we run 4 copies of the BT12 tie. Still just a really good card. You know, starter main and on play. Give something with Agumon or Greymon in name plus 1k and blocker until the end of opponent's turn. And then on your turn, when one of your Digimon digivolves into a Digimon card with Greymon or Omnimon in its name, you can suspend the Tamer and gain a memory. So this also lets you plus 1 off of swinging your Alterous EX-1 combo, right? Because you'll swing Alterous, EX-1 will play out tie. Alterous will see tie get played. You'll go into a Wargrey, tap tie, go ahead and gain a memory. So just really, really good. There's some cool stuff you can do there. And if you have more of them on the board, then more memory you'll gain. So that's really nice there. And then we run, last but not least here, just 4 not last but not least. I have 2 more cards. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. Sudden zip zap zoop. So 4 copies of offense training. You know, just consistency, reduce evil cost, solid card. And then 2 BT9X anybody, mostly just to turn on Greymon X's protection, you know, if we need it. But then also being able to allow Omni X to utilize his full on play, or, you know, one digivolving effect can be really, really nice. So that's about it there. That is the list. So a couple of things. There's definitely a lot of different bases. I do think that Gaimon Black base is gonna be something really cool next format. That's a different profile realistically, but just to kind of talk about Greymon stuff in general, that's something to keep an eye out for that I'm gonna be working on. This list is really fun. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do with it, but it is still WarGreymon, so you still just run into like those times where you're just too slow for how fast the meta is, right? Because sometimes people just threaten lethal on turn 2, turn 3 right now, and it's rough. The reason I was talking about the ST1 and ST5 ties, because I'm sure some people are like, well, why don't you run Scramble? You know, run a Scramble, like 1 or 2. And you still could. You still very well could, but because of the new Alterous, effectively, while you can't get cards back out of your trash with these, the ST1 and ST5 ties act like scrambles because they're still 2 play costs. So if you're ever in a moment where, like, let's say like your stat can't swing, you can't suspend for some reason, right? It's too risky, or like maybe like a Melga X gave you the one attacking it effect of, like, you know, you're gonna lose from memory when you swing. If you just need to just evo without swinging, dropping one of these guys for 2 is effectively the same cost as a scramble that will let you go into a WarGreymon then, thanks to Alterous' effect. So that's sort of like one of the neat things you can do there. And I just don't have any of them because I never bought those structure decks. But like this one, they're still both decent cards, right? Like at least, you know, decent in the sense of like what Wargrey wants to do. So like this tie, you know, gives you plus 1k for all your Digimon on your turn, which can just help you with DP climbing things. You know, 1k is not much, but it all adds up. And then this tie lets you, when you use blocker to suspend one of your Digimon, you may suspend this Tamer to unsuspend one of your Digimon. So he can help you, you know, in conjunction with this tie giving your guys blocker, just get more blocks out of a single stack, right? Like you can get more blocks out of this WarGrey because he also has the all turns whenever tech target switch to unsuspend. You can actually get more use out of this WarGreymon as well. If you gave blocker to BT14 or the ace, you get more uses out of them as well. So just it kind of helps you enable a bit more of a defensive play there. But that's ideally what I would probably run if I had them. I'd probably drop this guy out and just run one of each of them just to have effectively 2 tie scrambles for this deck. So if you have those cards, maybe test it out, see what it's like. But that's sort of the idea, right? That's the goal. So I just wanted to, you know, toss this together. There's not really much new to go over for WarGrey, so you know, I'm surprised I managed to yap for this long. But new Alterous is really cool. There's a lot of potential there. There's been a lot of cool lists juggling around the community already. We have like Adventure, Alter S using the new Alterous, and Sagittarius modes. You know, Melga X now has Sagittarius to utilize a very similar playstyle with this, but they have the whole advantage of actually having good X antibody forms of their boss monsters, because WarGrey X is just kind of yeah. If his stuff was more immediate, it'd be good, but he's just kind of but yeah, so that's kind of everything there. Hopefully, you know, you guys maybe have some fun with this. If there's any WarGreymon gamers out there that, you know, kind of have been missing playing your tribal WarGrey deck, here's something for you. Maybe scratch that itch a little bit, you know, something, or at least somewhere to start. You know, I'm sure we'll get more WarGrey support in the future. You know, it is Agumon card game after all. So yeah, that's gonna be it for me. Thank you guys for watching. Again, thank you to our members for the support. Thank you to anybody who stuck around this long to hear me yap about, you know, mostly old cards and then like two newer-ish cards with the promo and Alterous. I'm gonna go ahead and head out, and you know, we'll as Ben would say, we'll wait, hold on. Like and subscribe first. Can't forget that. I'll get yelled at. Can't forget that. Now I'm gonna head out. Catch you on the flippy flip. Bye.